Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now getting closer to the end of June of 2023, which is basically when Indy 5, The Dial of Destiny, and its box office results are going to begin coming out to the public. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what the first 2 weeks of July are going to be like. But on the other end of the spectrum, over at Lucasfilm, we have a lot of things happening with the Star Wars franchise, specifically the Acolyte series being run by LESLYE Headland and Kathleen Kennedy herself. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And without further ado, let's get right into the subject about what's going on with LESLYE Headland and yes, even George Lucas. Now, for those of you that have been uninformed, basically, the Acolyte series is going to be something far different than ever before, and not in a good way for Star Wars. Basically, Headland has made it very clear that this overall series is about really catering to diversity and catering to female empowerment, and how she wants to really kind of shift away from George Lucas's philosophy and what Star Wars stands for. Well, it gets even worse than that, and we're going to be covering exactly what's going on behind closed doors for the Acolyte series, and it really is going downhill. Let me tell you right now, this actual series is not going to live up to any kind of expectation among fans, and it's still slated for 2024. It's still slated for a spring 2024 release with date window, to be specific, and even then, I don't believe it's going to make it. I believe it's going to get delayed until the summer. That's just my 2 cents, but let's get right into this. Now, with creator LESLYE Headland developing the Acolyte series with Kathleen Kennedy by her side for 2024, what she did with the series is said to go completely against George Lucas. Now, it's noted that one big plan of LESLYE's is that she has in store for the Acolyte that is going to include so many retcons and changes toward the prequel trilogy movies by George that it is going to seemingly erase George Lucas's legacy with the prequel trilogy and his philosophy of what Star Wars truly stands for. Now, the substance of her plan to end his legacy with the prequels is not only by creating a new chosen one for the Acolyte show that will overshine Anakin Skywalker's prophecy, but that she is also going to be literally erasing some important valuable pieces of lore toward the prequels, using the Acolyte as the backbone or source material for making that happen. Now, both John and Dave are said to already be highly concerned about this approach, and are already developing a response to undo these retcons somehow, some way, and plans to end Lucas's legacy with their new upcoming shows. So, to put things very simply here, guys, real quick before I get to the next thing, is that John and Dave are responding to LESLYE's radical changes within the Star Wars franchise by trying to find ways that they can undo these retcons and basically save George Lucas's Star Wars. They basically are concerned about this because they feel that LESLYE Headland's The Acolyte may very well dismantle the momentum of what they have done with The Mandalorian Season 2 and everything moving onwards, including The Acolyte, or should I say the Ahsoka Tano series, and how The Acolyte may very well dismantle that momentum or that boost of excitement for Star Wars, right? So, what's really concerning to me too about this, as much as John and Dave are, is exactly, will this be fixable? These retcons toward the prequels that will be done in the Acolyte, will it be fixable? Can they really repair this in other shows that they have planned that will be announced by this year's D23 event, by the way? That's going to take place in September. So here lies the problem. Alright, we know that LESLYE Headland does not care about fans. She has made that openly clear. She has also made that very apparent to the fan base that she wants nothing to do with George Lucas. Even herself and Kathleen Kennedy have banished him from the set of The Acolyte and never wanted anything to do with him to oversee that project or to even actually see any of the sets in person. They didn't want him anywhere near that. And that's another reason why George Lucas has been very much zip about The Acolyte. He has not mentioned a word about it. And that's exactly also why, by the way, he doesn't really want to attend any kind of premiere or any kind of screening for Indy 5, because it's all Kathleen Kennedy driven. Now, moving to the next important thing here that I think a lot of fans are going to find to be very interesting. has much to do with Leslie Headland. Now, Headland is described to view Lucas fans as toxic to the Star Wars franchise and wants to undo all of that by creating a new era of fans that will accept her and Kennedy's approach of the Star Wars franchise, using the High Republic to literally undo some of Lucas's work in The Phantom Menace and the rest of the prequels. Many of these retcons are described to be directly impacted, of course, and impacting things like the Jedi Order and even the Force itself that fans will come to find very concerning for her direction with the franchise. Headland is also on a mission to using the Acolyte as a way to create a new timeline of the Star Wars franchise that will seemingly dismantle all of Lucas's treatments of what Star Wars is all about. Leslie is also getting ready to announce her plans with all of this by this fall for the Acolyte series to make it very clear. So most likely, guys, when we're talking about how she plans to make these announcements by this fall, it most likely is in reference to D23, alright, technically the fall. It is going to take place in early September, so it's like right at the end of summer there. And interestingly enough, given that the Acolyte is going through a lot of problems right now, it's going to be losing a lot of money because they've invested so much in this series. They've gone way over budget. They have to dial back drastically on the marketing for this one, and already the Disney board and the overall Disney executives believe that they're going to lose a lot of subscribers over the Acolyte series. So in the end, they're going to be losing a lot of money on the Acolyte show, especially with the way things are going right now behind closed doors for the show involving Leslie. Now, I don't know if you guys saw Leslie Headland at Star Wars Celebration 2023. Go ahead and look up that video. Leslie Headland, Star Wars Celebration 2023. She does a lot of cringeworthy things in there. She fake cries. She says how Star Wars saved her life, yet she's going against George Lucas, which makes no sense at all. And she doesn't even talk about how Star Wars saved her life, so that kind of sounds like a lie right there in and of itself. And then she continues on to talk about how this series is really going to be something drastically different than you have ever seen before. And I cannot even put into words about how cringeworthy her entrance was on the stage. Just check out the video if you guys haven't. But what's interesting about the Acolyte 2 is how initially Lucas and Kennedy did have a balanced agreement on the approach of the show, that Kennedy eventually backstabbed George Lucas. She betrayed him, she went against those plans, she went against those promises. Not a big surprise, really. I mean, look at what she did with the prequels, or should I say the sequels, and how basically she wanted nothing to do with referencing prequel trilogy lore or canon, and that was Lucas's agreement with her as well, and she also dismantled that. So again, this is another prime example of Leslie Headland really dishonoring George Lucas, really kind of trying to dethrone him and his Star Wars, and it's not going to work. It's going to completely backfire against her, I can almost guarantee that. So overall, guys, I would love to hear your take on this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.